Hi, my name is Themis. I'm an accredited practicing dietitian and spokesperson for the Dietitians Association of Australia. Today, I'm going to share with you some of my top nutrition tips that you can use from the comfort of your own home. I'm going to show you how to prepare a spiced beef with chili green beans and parsley sauce. It's a super delicious, super nutritious meal that you will have on your table for all your friends, your family, whoever you're cooking for in under 20 minutes. So what you need for this dish is a large non-stick frying pan, one sharp knife, a chopping board, a nice large chopping board, and a non-slip mat or some kind of wet, damp chucks cloth or paper towel underneath your board to stop it from sliding around, and a couple of mixing bowls. That's all we're going to need. Let's give our hands a wash and get cooking. Make sure you wash your hands thoroughly for around about 20 to 30 seconds or for the duration of happy birthday. Thoroughly wash your hands underneath your nails, between your fingers, and all the way up to the tops of your wrists. Then, once you've finished washing, use warm water to rinse your hands and use paper towel to dry them. So, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make our parsley sauce. Now, this isn't a difficult part of the dish, but we want to get it done because we can set it aside and then we can enjoy a nice warm meal at the end. So, what I want you to do, take your parsley, and we're going to save some for our garnish at the end, okay? It's always important to have a nice fresh garnish. So we're going to put a little bit to the side, okay, for later. Then we're going to basically chop everything else up here, including the stems, okay? They're nice and soft and fresh, so we're going to use the whole bit up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll it into this little ball here, okay? And it's just going to make chopping it nice and easy. I don't want to over chop my herbs. The herbs are going to add lots of flavor and beautiful vibrancy to our dish, but we don't want to have them remaining on the board afterwards from over chopping it. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to run my knife through here, nice and fine. Okay, just like this. There we go. I'm going to include these little stems as well. I'm going to save some of these stems though, so I'm going to add it to my green beans later as well. I'm going to put that to the side for now. Roughly chop the rest of this. Okay. That's good. Put this into our little mixing bowl. Now we're going to chop our capers as well. So these guys, capers, they're berries, caper berries, okay? They grow in these little shrubs all around the country. So what we're going to do is we're just going to roughly chop them. I'm going to also keep some of these spare just to throw into my beans as I'm pan frying them as well. You can get salty, pickled, a whole range of different capers. You can get large and small. They are a great way of adding flavor to a dish without having to necessarily add lots of extra kind of salts and fats and other bits and pieces. So great little addition there. A little bit of red wine vinegar here as well. Splash of that in there. And a good little pinch of chili flakes because we've got them for our dish later on. And I'm also going to add a little bit of cumin in here too. Okay? Then I'm going to take some extra virgin olive oil to bring it all together. Okay. And that there is going to be our green sauce. It's quite chunky, as you can see. I might give this a tiny bit more olive oil just to wet it just ever so gently. And that's going to be our green sauce that we're going to serve with our beef. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our pan onto a nice high heat, okay? Nice high heat. And we're going to add a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil again, straight into our pan. About a tablespoon or so. Now, we've got these beautiful steaks here. Now, when we cook any kind of raw meat, we need to obviously be aware of cross-contamination. So what I would urge you to do is only use one hand when you're actually taking the meat and placing it into the pan, okay? It's a really important consideration because then I've always got a clean hand to do other things like pick up my knife or to touch my tap to wash my hands, whatever it might be. And that prevents the spread of germs throughout the rest of our kitchen. Now, before we do anything, we're going to take our meat, we're going to add our cumin and our coriander. We're going to add it just to one side, okay? And we're going to add quite a generous amount of both spices as well, okay? So it's a dry spice rub and we're only adding it to one side because we're going to cook the beef for the majority of the time on the non-spice side. This will stop the spices burning. Similarly, we've added the spices in our bowl here so that we don't have excess spices falling off the beef and into the pan and burning as well around the steak. We don't really want that. We want the spices to impart their beautiful flavor. We're using these spices instead of other things like salt as well, but by adding them in the bowl, we're not going to get that burnt, bitter kind of spice as it falls off. Now, 2 porterhouse steaks. That porterhouse steak is quite a lean steak, aside from this strip of fat on the outside. So we're going to cook it, put it straight into our pan. Nice, gentle sizzle, which is exactly what we want. Lovely. Nice high heat as well. And we get this cooking away. This 2 porterhouse steaks here, around about probably 200, 250 grams is enough meat for a family of 4 as well. Because we're going to add some delicious vegetables, and the hero of the meal isn't just going to be the steak. There's going to be so much flavor all over your plate, you want to eat everything, not just the meat. Our porterhouse steak is sizzling away in the pan. I've given my hands a quick wash after handling the meat. Now we're ready to get stuck into preparing our vegetables. So, for this dish, we've got these lovely, beautiful green beans. All we need to do with our green beans is remove the tops, okay? The tails are fine. People often say top and tail. We just want to remove the top, the woody part, the stem part where it used to be attached to the rest of the plant. So all we're going to do is remove the tops, and then we're going to get these ready to throw into the pan straight after our steak is ready. Now, with our steak, what we've done is we put it into a nice hot pan. We took our meat out of the fridge about 10 to 15 minutes before we put it into the pan, and by doing that, it allowed it just to relax and come to room temperature ever so slightly. By doing that, it means that when we add it into the pan, because it's not freezing cold straight out of the fridge, the pan doesn't drop temperature really quickly, and consequently, the pan is able to cook our meat nice and evenly because it maintains its heat. Whereas if we add a nice cold piece of meat into a hot pan, the temperature drops significantly, and as a result, we don't get that caramelization and that lovely crusty exterior we want in our meat, and instead it kind of sweats in the pan because the pan temperature reduces so significantly from adding such a large amount of cold meat. So, hot pan, meat out of the fridge a couple of minutes earlier, and then add your meat into the pan. It's absolutely food safe as well because it takes around about 2 hours or more for food to be out of the fridge before bacteria levels build up to harmful levels. So 15 minutes out of the fridge isn't going to be a problem. So we've cut the tops off our beans and we've put them aside, so they're ready to go. Let's have a little peek at our beef now. It's probably been in the pan for around about 4 or 5 minutes. Now, we want it to be nice and golden. That's looking delicious, okay? That's exactly the way we want our steak to be. Now, we've cooked it for the majority of the time on the non-spiced side. Like I said, because we don't want our spices to burn. Now we're going to add it back into the pan. We're going to turn the temperature up nice and high. We're going to toast those spices quickly, and then our steak's going to be done. We're going to let that rest on our pan in just a minute. While we're waiting for that steak just to finish, we're going to cut up our last couple of ingredients that we're going to add to the pan with our beans. So, 4 cloves of garlic. Let's chop these guys up now. All right, I like giving my garlic a little crush. It just makes it a little bit flatter and easier to chop up. Doesn't roll around quite as much. I think it's a nice, safe way to do it. Okay, garlic's done. Lovely. Just put that to the side for a second. It's going to go into the pan in just a minute. Then we're going to take our parsley stems that we reserved from earlier. Give them a nice little chop as well. Okay, like we always say here at Sprout, it's really important. Don't throw away any of those stems. There's so much flavour in the stem, so much nutrition. We want to keep them. We want to cook with everything, every part of the plant where possible. Right, we're going to take our steak out of the pan now, and we're just going to let that rest there. We'll let that rest for a minute or two. In the meantime, we're going to get our beans into the pan. Now I'm going to bring this back down a little bit to around about a medium heat, okay? And we're going to try and get some nice colour and flavour onto our green beans. Now I'm going to add my green beans first, all right? Into that pan where there's lots of flavour. These green beans are going to take a lot longer to cook than this tiny bit of parsley, okay? So by adding them in at the start, we give it a bit of a head start before we do anything else. Give that a couple of minutes, and then we're going to add our aromatic ingredients. The beans have been in the pan that we cooked our steak in for about 2 minutes now. They're starting to look delicious. They're starting to get a little bit of colour on them, which is exactly what we want, and they're soaking up a lot of the flavour that was left in this pan from before. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get this little bit of chopped up garlic and parsley stems into the pan. Get them straight in, okay? Then we're also going to add into the pan our cannellini beans. Now these guys are straight out of the tin, okay? But they've got this slightly soft texture when you take them out of the tin. You can blend them and make beautiful dips. You can have them in salads, no problems. But I'm going to throw them into my pan now, okay? And by doing this, they're going to just kind of get these lovely little bits of char on them, and they're going to be absolutely delicious and soak up the flavour, again, that's in this pan. So that little bit of garlic and parsley and those leftover spices and the olive oil, we want to let them all just sit there and soak it all up. These guys here, these beans, the green beans and the cannellini beans, are so nutritious, so much fibre, good source of low GI carbohydrate, good little whack of protein in there in our beans as well. To be honest, they're going to be just as delicious, if not more delicious than the steak, which means then you don't have to just fill up solely on the meat, which is the expensive part of the dish too. All right, so they are looking delicious. Now it's time to add some more capers in. I'm going to get these in. Again, they're also going to get a little bit of colour and texture on them as well and add another depth of flavour. A good solid pinch of chili flakes. Now, this is completely optional, okay? I like the chili in here. I think that adds a real gentle, lovely heat, especially with those green beans. It works beautifully. I'm going to get them in. And then a good whack of almonds, okay? Probably about kind of 40 or so grams of almonds. Give that a stir. We're going to toast off those almonds. They're going to suck up some of that chili as well. Absolutely delicious. 2 or 3 minutes in there, and then we're going to start to plate up. Our beans and almonds and aromatic ingredients have been sizzling away in the pan for a good kind of 3 or 4 minutes now. So I'm just going to turn this off. I'm going to let that just sit there in the warm pan. Nothing's going to happen. Now it's time to start plating up. So we've got our plate here. I'm going to put our beautiful parsley sauce. It's zesty and acidic and it's absolutely got heaps of flavour. I'm going to get this on the bottom, okay? Nice all over the bottom there. It's got some of that cumin and some chili flakes and capers and parsley. So much flavour, so much nutrition. Yum, right? Then we've got our steak here as well. Now, I've let my steak rest for probably about, 3-4 minutes, or probably even a few more minutes, however long the beans have been in there for. That's helped it basically relax, okay? And it's going to ensure that a lot of that liquid, a lot of that moisture stays in the steak and keeps it nice and juicy. So I'm just going to slice it now into thin kind of pieces. I like slicing my steak for a couple of reasons. I think when you slice your steak, firstly, you can just kind of make it part of the dish more, okay? Rather than having a large piece of steak next to vegetables, the steak just kind of overtakes the whole plate. For me, the steak is part of the meal. It's not the only part of the meal. By now, just allowing me to put just a little bit of this steak here on the bottom, it means that, yes, that looks delicious, but it's only part of the meal, right? And now we're going to top it with these lovely vegetables, these lovely beans here as well. Going to get these on. Okay, you can smell all the flavour. This is just a pan of nutrition, right? And lots of texture, and it's absolutely delicious. And I'm going to hit it with just a bit of our fresh parsley now. Okay, and I'll tell you what, if that isn't one of the most specky looking, simple kind of beef dishes that you'll ever cook at home, I don't know what is. Tell you what, there is our spiced beef with chili beans and parsley sauce. So as you can see, it is possible to eat a nutritious diet and stay healthy all at the same time whilst in the comfort of your own home. So let's jump into the kitchen and put some of this into practice.